Hello, everyone. Welcome to CRATV, where we talk about politics, policy, and politicians, all from a conservative perspective, right here in the great state of California. So thank you so very much for tuning in, and we would very much appreciate it if you would like and share the program. Let your friends know this is the place where we're having conversations. And by the way, if you're watching us on either YouTube or on Facebook, please make it a point to click that notification button, the little bell button. That way you'll be notified every time we go live. And then you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also want to remind each and every one of you, by the way, CRA is a membership organization. We need your support. We support conservative candidates basically from dog catcher all the way up to President of the United States. We work to help elect like-minded conservatives. And if you want to know the type of conservatives that we're in fact likely to support, well, check out this video real quick. So, folks, make it real simple. Look, we are conservatives. We are pro-life. We are pro-family. The California Republican Assembly is anti-tax, anti-big government. We believe in a strong national defense, and we believe in the right to keep and bear arms, among other things. And by the way, that's just one of the join videos that we have out there, and I'll be showing a different one every week that kind of outlines our positions on various different issues. But just lets you know, we are the Republican wing of the Republican Party here in the state of California. So if you want to elect conservatives, hey, we're the best shot for you. We're the folks that are going to help you to make sure that those people are in position to be able to represent you. So just do me a quick favor. Just click on the join link in the description of this video, and you'll be able to go there. You'll find a chapter. You can find a chapter in your area, or you can join at large. Whichever way you decide, become a member of CRA today. Now, as I always like to say, you can be part of the solution or you can be part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Become a member of CRA today. Also want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so, participate and become a part of our Take Action program. Our Take Action program is real simple. We're telling you about and letting you know about key legislation that's going to impact your life here in the state of California. What we do is we provide you a description of it, which also has our analysis of that particular piece of legislation. You can click on a link and actually go and read the bill for yourself. But you also have the ability to send an email directly to the folks who are about to vote on that particular piece of legislation. Folks, there's a number of pieces of legislation there. We've been successful in killing some, but they're still there. There's still some that are there, so we need your help. We need you to be active. We need you to be a part. So do me a favor, just click on the Take Action link there in the description of the video and take action today. It's real simple. All right, so let's get on to today's topic. You guys know that, I mean, anybody who's paid any attention knows that if you've been around for a while, today's Democratic Party is not what the Democratic Party used to be. It used to be as we like to refer to as classical liberals. It used to be that the Democratic Party may have been wrong on a lot of stuff, but they weren't whacked out crazy wrong. Well, guess what we know now? We now know that on many, many issues, they have gone way, way, way far to the left. And I don't know if you guys saw a tweet that was put out, or an image that was put out by Elon Musk a while back, but it really kind of summed up exactly where they are at, or where the Democratic Party has gone when it comes to various political issues. And it's kind of funny because the way in which it points it out is it really just kind of talks about how the Democratic Party, in essence, used to be somewhat moderate, somewhat reasonable, if you want to call it that, on various different issues. But somehow the Democratic Party has opted, they've opted to just go, completely and utterly nuts on issues. I apologize because I didn't have the issue already. I didn't have the thing already up, and I wanted to make sure that I had it up so that you folks could take a look at it and give you a real idea of exactly what he's talking about in this particular meme. All right, so I'm putting it up here, so I want to make it look nice and pretty for you, so that you folks can enjoy and be able to get what it is that he is attempting to communicate in this particular piece. Okay, here it is. So here you have, this was put up by Elon Musk, and if you notice, the right, by the way, just so you know, notice that in every single one of these, the right is in the same place it has always been, right? But then there is the center, right? And there you have little Elon Musk standing there, and then you have the left in a particular place, and they're referring to as, hey, that's, he's saying that's his fellow liberal. Well, then you look in 2012, all of a sudden that liberal takes they're no longer a liberal. They're on their way to something else. And you notice the ground is now slightly shifted, even though Elon Musk is still kind of in the center, still on the left. He's a little bit more towards the center. But then where does it end in 2021? And this is an accurate description. Notice, number one, that the right is, we're still very much in the same place that we have always been. Elon Musk, by the way, note he is in the same place that he has always been, but notice that because the left has run so far to the left and decided to become woke progressives, that the center has now changed, and Elon Musk is now, he's now on the right. Funny how that happens, huh? Funny how he didn't move. Funny how conservatives didn't move. The left moved, and now all of a sudden, Elon Musk is now considered to be on the right. And that, folks, is the center of this conversation that we're going to have today, which is basically the leftward migration of the Democratic Party. And I'm not the only one, by the way, to notice this. In fact, someone who's never really been a big fan or friend of Republicans has also noticed. Check it out.
Same unmarried, childless, pot-smoking libertine I always was. I have many flaws, but you can't accuse me of maturing. Let's get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media. But that can't happen in this ridiculous new era of mind-numbing partisanship, where if I keep it real about the nonsense in the Democratic Party, it makes me an instant hero to Republicans. The same thing happened in reverse to Darth Vader's daughter, Liz Cheney, who is now a hero to liberals simply because she recognizes Biden did not steal the last election. What a sad commentary. on our politics, where simply acknowledging reality is now seen as a profile in courage. People sometimes say to me, you didn't used to make fun of the left as much. Yeah, because they didn't give me so much to work with. The oath of office I took was to comedy. And if you do goofy shit, wherever you are on the spectrum, I'm going to make fun of you because that's where the gold is. And the fact that they are laughing at it should tell you something. It rings true. Same unmarried child.
So what he's pointing out here is the fact that, once again, Bill Maher has not changed. Bill Maher is the same irreverent, like he said, pot-smoking, left-wing guy that he's always been. But the thing is that he's retained this little thing called, common sense on some things. That, we may be different on the spectrum, but at the very least, he recognizes there's some stuff you just don't do, right? He talked and he went on in this monologue to talk about how stupid defunding the police is, how the idea of non-gender specific toy aisles are. I mean, he just went on and on and on talking about various different issues where the left has pretty much lost their minds. But it's not just that they've lost their minds. I mean, let's keep in mind, on very, very serious issues, the Democratic Party has, in fact, changed their position and their perspective. I mean, let's just talk about this one. One that came up just recently has to do with the issue of abortion. And the President of the United States, he hasn't always been, as pro-choice as he portrays himself to be.
Joe Biden was sworn into the Senate just 17 days before the Supreme Court issued its 1973 ruling on Roe v. Wade. In an interview with the Washingtonian, back in 1974, he said, "I don't like the Supreme Court decision on abortion. I think it went too far. I don't think that a woman has the sole right to say what should happen to her body."
All right, so here's the guy who's like, a woman's right to choose. It's her body, her choice, yada, yada, yada. But even he's saying that, and it's not really about the woman's body in his mind. It's about the fact that there's a child in there who, ought to be at least somewhat considered in the making of these decisions. And that's what he's pointing to. But now keep in mind, by the way, this is also a guy who talked about potentially introducing an amendment to the Constitution to make abortion illegal. That's who Joe Biden was. That's not the same Joe Biden that we see today, is it? Not the one who talks about how ludicrous it is to even think about reconsidering Roe versus Wade, which, by the way, does not make abortion illegal. It simply pushes the matter to the states and lets the states decide. The people in the states, in the various different communities, decide based on their values what makes more sense. But that's just one area where the Democratic Party has, evolved. There's another area, and that has to do with crime and punishment. You guys have heard lately about all of the conversation and all of the discussion about the 1994 crime bill and how it resulted in mass incarceration of African Americans. Well, maybe you don't know this, but this was ushered into law. It was supported by a lot of Republicans, but it was actually a Democrat president, Bill Clinton, and a Democrat senator, Joe Biden, who were the leads in making sure that the crime bill actually came to be.
Big piece of legislation on Capitol Hill tonight is the crime bill.
Now, violent crime peaked in 1991, and the drafters of the bill didn't know that in 1993 and 1994 when they were drafting and signing it. Urban areas, urban cities across the country were ravaged by crack cocaine, and Americans were afraid of crime. The 1994 crime bill was signed by President Bill Clinton. This was a pretty significant bill at the time, and President Clinton and Senator Biden at the time were right that the bill was significant.
The most significant federal effort to deal with violent crime in America that has ever been undertaken.
It was important for a Democrat at the time to be seen as taking a significant role in trying to reduce crime and violence in the United States. And at the time, the Congressional Black Caucus was part of the debate around the crime bill. And the Congressional Black Caucus didn't want every provision that was included in this bill. It became clear that the provisions in the 94 crime bill were going to be a political compromise. And so the history is much more complicated than is sometimes portrayed by the...
So once again, they don't want you to know this stuff. They don't want you to know that the Democrats were the ones who actually pushed the crime bill. And here's the reason why, folks. They were pushing the crime bill because, once again, in the early 90s, crime was out of control. Murder and murder rates were astronomical. And it was mostly due to drugs and gang violence. And here's the thing. It was mostly happening in Democrat communities, and urban inner cities was where this explosion of crime was taking place, and they were seeking to address it. So now we look back, and you have a Democratic Party who's talking about defunding the police. They're talking about, as we're starting to, by the way, just so you know, the beginning of the whole defund the police thing, or the quote unquote smart on crime conversation. Yeah, a big part of that was Kamala Harris, who at the time was our Attorney General, who would eventually go on to become our Senator, as well as now Vice President of the United States. But she was the one who coined the phrase smart on crime, where they were actually going to start taking a look at crime and say, you know what? We're not going to prosecute quote unquote nonviolent offenders, even though a lot of the people that they started letting out of prison were violent offenders. But we started to see under her administration in California was the first time that we had seen an increase in crime rates since going all the way back to the 1994 crime bill. And by the way, at that same time, we were passing things like 3 strikes, Megan's Law. I mean, we were passing very, very stiff laws in the state of California that actually put criminals in jail, held them accountable for their decision to break the law. And guess what? I know this sounds crazy, but as we locked up criminals, crime went down. Violent crime went down. But now you have a whole new Democratic Party that has evolved back to somewhat of the Democratic Party of the 60s. That's like, no, we need social justice. We need equity. Equity meaning that, well, if more people are being put in jail, and that piece that I was just showing you, excuse me, talked a lot about the, talked a lot about the fact that the 1990 crime bill, 94 crime bill, excuse me, would result in quote unquote mass incarceration. Well, that's because all of a sudden, people who were not being held accountable for their decisions were now being held accountable. And while they were in prison, they weren't able to commit crimes. Funny how that works, huh? But now then we saw once again, as the mid-2010s come along, California and other blue states implemented smart on crime policies, and that resulted in criminals being let out of jail and the decriminalization of crime. And as a result, well, now you have skyrocketing crime, skyrocketing violent crime, and the Democratic Party is still on the wrong side of those issues. But you know what? I feel bad because I feel like I'm only picking on Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is not the only one who flip-flopped. Well, as we all know, the guy that was just in the last video with him, Mr. Bill Clinton, he also flip-flopped. And what was the issue that he flip-flopped on? Well, that would be illegal immigration.
Big piece of legislation on Capitol Hill tonight is the crime bill.
Now, violent crime peaked in 1991, and the...
My apologies, that was the wrong video. I will now play the right video. Here you go.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
All right, now I want you to notice something. Not only were the words that he was saying, not only did they ring true, but notice that members of both parties stood up and clapped and cheered because they knew what was being said to be true. But now we all know, that's not where the Democratic Party is these days. In fact, for lack of a better term, they are for open borders. They don't believe that we ought to address the issue of illegal immigration. In fact, they don't even want to call them illegal immigrants anymore. They are now undocumented immigrants, which basically means, they ain't got no paperwork, but they're cool. They can stay here. And it's gone so far as not just to encourage it. And we all know that the reason why we're seeing the surge that we're seeing is because, Joe Biden pretty much told them to come. But we also know it's because states like California, offer significant resources and benefits to those who enter the country illegally. Benefits that, by the way, are not offered to many legal citizens who were born here, but also even to those who immigrated here legally. Even they do not have access to the resources, many of which we're talking about here. But once again, I feel like I'm kind of picking on Bill Clinton. But once again, he's not the only president who's kind of changed his mind on stuff. There's also another president who changed his position on an issue that was very central here in the state of California, that probably the epicenter of it was here in California, and that had to do with the issue of same-sex marriage. I guess you guys will know who I'm talking about.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. But I also detest the sort of bashing and vilifying of gays and lesbians because I think it's unduly divisive. It's unnecessary. Most gay...
Okay, so here it is. He says that, and by the way, in this particular clip, and I could have gone on a little bit longer, there were numerous instances where he just made it a point to point out that, no, I don't support same-sex marriage, but he did support civil unions. The point of it here is that he was very, very much not a supporter of same-sex marriage. And it really wasn't until after he was elected president and after it became an issue at the federal level and the Supreme Court decided that I'm for same-sex marriage. The thing is, folks, and by the way, just so you know, same-sex marriage never was not created by any vote of the people. It was not a policy that was put in place by any Democrat, by any elected official. It was literally something that was put in place by the courts. Okay, so just so we understand that. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that the Democratic Party has changed significantly. In fact, it's left many Democrats. I just had a conversation today with someone who, on a number of these issues, who's a Democrat, who on a number of these issues is with us and doesn't seem to understand that, your position is no longer acceptable within the Democratic Party. You cannot be part of Democrat Party leadership and support these various different issues. I mean, here's one. This is a really basic one, right? How about the issue of tax cuts, right? I mean, come on. We all know that, you can't give money to the rich because there's no such thing as trickle-down economics, as Democrats like to call it. But their icon, one of their icons, Mr. Jack Kennedy, well, he understood the real point of tax cuts.
The worst deficit comes from a recession. And if we can take the proper action in the proper time, this can be the most important step we could take to prevent another recession. That is the right kind of a tax cut, both for your family budget and the national budget, resulting from a permanent basic reform and reduction in our rate structure, a creative tax cut, creating more jobs and income, and eventually more revenue. And the right time for that kind of bill, it now appears, in the absence of an economic crisis today, and if the job is to be done in a responsible way, is January 1963. Such a bill will be presented to the Congress for action next year. It will include an across-the-board, top-to-bottom cut in both corporate and personal income taxes. It will include long-needed tax reforms that logic and equity demand. And it will date that cut in taxes to take effect as of the start of next year, January 1963. The billions of dollars this bill will place in the hands of the consumer and our businessmen will have both immediate and permanent benefits to our economy.
Now, think about that. This is a Democrat who is saying these things, right? Now, okay, let's just be honest. He would probably be a Republican in today's day and age. I hate to say it, but he probably would be a Republican in today's day and age. But the point that I'm making here is that the Democratic Party has changed significantly. And it's important that Democrats understand that, but it's also important that we Republicans understand that. Let's not be part of being drugged to the left by the Democratic Party, the same way the Democratic Party, by the progressives. Let's not give in on the things that we know to be true, that we know to be effective, that we know to be good policy. Things like, reducing taxes, right? Things like supporting traditional marriage. Things like, supporting innocent life in the womb, or having secure borders. These are all things that I think we, at least as members of CRA or as conservatives, can all agree are good things for America. See, because I believe that when we do that, and especially when we call to bear the differences between between the Democratic Party today and the Democratic Party of the past, I think we can help them to better see exactly what it is that the Democratic Party has become. Because as Ronald Reagan said, he made it a point. He pointed out, look, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And that, my friends, is simply the truth, right? And I'm pretty sure each and every one of you out there has at least one person that you know who this applies to and who you should probably share this video with, because they pretty much still think that the Democratic Party is reasonable. And, well, you and I know different. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for this edition of CRATV. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. Please remember, like, share, subscribe. Become a member today. And encourage your friends to become a member of the California Republican Assembly. We are the conscience of the Republican Party. We'll talk to you again real soon.